prehab, rehab, and doing what you thought was impossible.
What's up guys, this is Nate Johnson. I'm here to talk about the volume section of the intermediate programming video series, alright? So we're going to answer a few questions here. We're going to talk about, number one, what is volume? The second thing we're going to talk about is how do we track volume, how do we measure that volume? The third thing is how much volume do we need? And the fourth thing that I've not put on the board is, okay, well now that we're talking about how much volume, how much do I need specifically? Because in this question I'm just answering a range. It's a pretty wide range, so we'll get to that in a minute. So the first thing is, what is volume? Basically, volume is the total work done. Alright, so the amount of work that you're doing in a session. So that leads us to our next question, which is, well, how do we actually track the amount of work done? And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to track the number of reps that you do per body part, okay? Which then leads us to the third question, is how much volume do we need? Well, okay, so I've broken the body into two different types of muscle groups. We've got big muscle groups and small muscle groups. The big muscle groups are going to be the chest, the back, the quads, and the glute and the hamstrings. And the small body parts are going to be the biceps, triceps, shoulders, and abs, alright? So the large body parts, the big body parts, need anywhere from 30 to 70 reps per session, alright? That's not per week, but that's per workout. 30 to 70 reps. These small body parts, you just cut that in half. So whatever the rule is for the big body parts, just cut it in half for the small body parts. So the small body parts need anywhere from 15 to 35 reps per body part per session. So the next thing that I know you're going to ask is, well, Nate, that's a really big range. You're talking about 30 to 70 reps. 70 reps is more than double the amount of volume or reps that 30 reps is, okay? So let me address that. The first thing is, there's a difference in your volume needs depending on what your goals are. If your goal is maximum strength, you can't train with as high of a volume as someone who's training for muscle growth, all right? Using lighter weights, you can actually handle more volume, okay? So hanging out in that 65 to 85% rep range, that moderate weight, will give you, 65 to 85% of your 1 rep max, the 5 to 12 rep range, you're able to accumulate more volume and you're able to recover from more volume, okay? You cannot, 30 reps in the 65 to 85% of your 1 rep max rep range is not the same thing as 30 reps in the 85 to 100% of your 1 rep max, okay? The 30 reps with that max strength range is going to be a lot harder to recover from. So if your goal is max strength, you need to be towards the lower end. If your goal is max muscle growth, hypertrophy, you need to be towards the higher end. Now, there's also a difference between people, your training age, okay? So if you've just come off of a beginner's training program, and you've been able to add weight every single workout or maybe once a week, now you're maybe looking at hitting progress, hitting new PRs every 2 to 4 weeks, okay? Which is still pretty quick. So you need to hang out on the lower end of that rep range because you're still going to be doing 30 reps per body part. You're actually going to be getting more volume than you were doing the beginner sessions, okay? So we do need to increase volume over time, but we need to do it slowly. We don't want to increase volume super quick because what happens is someone like me who's still an intermediate, but I'm more of like an advanced, later on intermediate, I need to be hanging out in the higher volume of this range, okay? So over time, your volume needs will go up, so start small and then work your way up as needed. The last thing is, there is difference just in the individual, okay? There are some people who can grow on extremely low volume, so some people may need less than this. Some people may need higher volume than this, okay? But when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to training, go ahead and assume that you're normal. Go ahead and assume that you're right in the middle, you've got middle of the road genetics, you've got middle of the road needs. Okay, and then we'll talk about in the auto-regulation section what you can do to, how to know when to increase the volume in your training, increase the frequency. All those things will be addressed during auto-regulation. But for now, just assume that you are a normal person. So if you're just coming off the intermediate program, start on the low end. And then if you've been training for a while, maybe start in the middle. And then over time you can increase that to the higher volume. But do not jump straight to the higher volume. You're doing yourself a disservice, okay? So there it is. Volume is the amount of work done. We track volume by looking at the total number of reps we do. Big body parts need anywhere from 30 to 70 reps per session, and small body parts need anywhere from 15 to 35 reps per session.